Federal investigators plan to charge at least 10 securities professionals with insider trading following the arrest of hedge fund manager Raj Rajaratnam. We're joined now by Stephen Feldman, lead partner in the white-collar criminal defense practice at Herrick Feldstein. Feldman is a former federal prosecutor who served in the Securities and Commodities Fraud Task Force at the U.S. Attorney's Office here in Manhattan for 6.5 years. Stephen, pardon me, very good to have you.
Thank you.
10 more people going to be charged. Raj Rajaratnam already charged. Is this normal, though? Wouldn't you expect all of these people to be charged at once in some kind of, big roundup?
Clearly, this is it's a moving investigation. Normally, in a case that you'd been working on for 2 years, a prosecutor would go to the grand jury, get an indictment, and take them all down at once. You don't want people taking off and leaving. Here, for whatever reason, they did this by complaint, meaning they put together an affidavit, went to a judge, and said, we need arrest warrants right away. So clearly, this is an ongoing case, an ongoing investigation. We're going to see what happens next.
Now, you've had 6.5 years with that division, if you like, and sort of 4 years prosecuting, right, cases such as this. I mean, what's the difference between hedge fund managers keeping an edge? I mean, that's what they do. They're plugged in. They have friends in various industries, making money, and a crime.
Look, people are allowed to use rumors. They're allowed to use information they learned from friends in terms of what's publicly available and out there. But the law makes it illegal for them to use inside, non-public, confidential information. And so when somebody knows that, they can't use it. As a defense attorney, you want to explain why your person didn't know that it was confidential inside information. You want to blur that line. You want to explain it's a rumor. It was something that is just...
It seems like a large gray area.
Right. And as a defense attorney, that's one of the things you'd get up there and try to fight in this kind of case. I mean, there's a lot of things we would try to poke holes in any government case. You'd want to look at the cooperator. What did the cooperator know? What's his background? Why does he need leniency? And you want to take those wires apart. There's a lot of people here, and the case against each one is going to be very different.
Well, how much, though, are wiretaps a game changer here? How much should the hedge fund managers and the traders at these funds be sort of shaking in their boots?
Well, I mean, it certainly does change things. In the brokerage firms for years, a stockbroker picks up the phone, his call's recorded. That's what the companies did. The hedge funds haven't done that exact same thing. In fact, they didn't record the call. So the U.S. Attorney's Office and the FBI had to turn to an alternative method, and that's the wiretaps. But wiretaps are really time and person intensive. Every FBI agent you have sitting in the room listening to every phone call as they're happening live isn't out in the field investigating, bringing new cases.
So can we actually expect the nature of prosecution by the feds to change here, or do they simply not have enough manpower to go after multiple cases of this nature, given the kind of workload that you describe?
I would imagine that only in the very biggest, most high-profile case could you use a wiretap to try to make these cases.
What's the most likely scenario, do you think? Let's say Rajaratnam, we know he's out on bail. What do you think his fate is likely to be ultimately, and the other people that are being named?
Well, everyone's got their own story, so there's always a pressure if you're somebody who's arrested to come in and tell your story, see if you can cooperate. There isn't room at the courthouse for everyone to cooperate, so the government may be considering one of those 6 people, 1 or 2 people, to see if they have information on other people out in the field that they're willing to flip on. The government also has other people who've been on these phone calls over time, and they need to figure out who are we going to pick up next. And they want to pick up the most people without getting weak cases they're going to lose.
Stephen, thanks very much for joining us. Stephen Feldman
Thank you very much.
Feldstein, talking about the extraordinary insider trading case against Raj Rajaratnam of the Galleon Hedge Fund Group.